Hello everyone! Today we embark on an extraordinary yet perilous journey into the heart of the battle against the world's most destructive invasive species. These invaders pose a significant threat to both natural ecosystems and agricultural lands. Let's explore the farmers' efforts to overcome unexpected yet powerful challenges. Join us as we delve into this captivating saga. This past autumn, we observed a significant incursion of feral hogs into a Texas cornfield, marking a notable event due to their immense capacity for destruction, unlike anything seen before. These animals, with their keen sense of smell, can detect food and fertile lands from afar. Along with their young, they invade fields prepared for harvest, causing substantial damage. This incident highlights the consequences of oversight during the planting phase, leading to significant losses for farmers. When wild boars ravage or consume crops and seeds before they have a chance to sprout, the evidence of their presence is unmistakably marked by large footprints across freshly sown fields. Moreover, these invaders are not selective, sparing no effort to devastate cornfields and are equally destructive to other crops. For these creatures, corn is not just a food item, it's an essential part of their daily intake, particularly within cornfields. These fields offer not only the finest nutrition and energy sources, but also serve as preferred hiding and feeding spots for wild boars. Intriguingly, these animals tend to start their destruction from the center of the cornfield, rather than the periphery. In the United States, the havoc wrought by wild boars is significant, causing up to $2.5 billion in damages annually. This problem is particularly acute in states like Texas, where the burgeoning wild boar population exacerbates the damage to cornfields, leaving many farmers in a precarious situation. To mitigate this issue, the government is intensifying its control measures. Moreover, hunting wild boars has become a popular pastime, especially among those who are enthusiasts of sport hunting, adding an interesting dimension to the ongoing efforts to manage the wild boar population. It's crucial to adhere to legal regulations during this process. Hunters frequently take advantage of the situation, quietly approaching while wild boars are distracted and then skillfully shooting them. In the United States, wild boars have ravaged numerous cornfields, exerting pressure on the surrounding communities. Imagine cycling through a cornfield only to encounter one or two wild boars in a frenzy, wreaking havoc and damaging the farmer's property, including fences and crops. Despite efforts to curb their destruction using barriers such as fences and traps, these measures have largely been ineffective. The boars continue to devastate crops, particularly during the harvest season, showcasing their persistent threat to agriculture. The presence of wild boars in extensive cornfields has resulted in significant losses for corn farmers. These animals can unexpectedly invade large swathes of corn, causing considerable damage to both the land and the growing crops, with potential consumption reaching up to 50 acres. To combat the nocturnal destruction caused by wild boars, farmers have taken to organizing night hunts within their own cornfields. This strategy requires a high level of hunting expertise and exceptionally sharp vision, as swiftly escaping from such intimidating creatures is not an option. Wild boars exhibit heightened activity during the night, often moving in groups that can number between 10 to 20 individuals. As such, it is crucial for interventions to be both swift and precise to ensure that no wild boar escapes. Beyond the extensive damage they inflict on cornfields, wild boars pose broader environmental threats, including the contamination of water sources and potential dangers to humans, livestock, and other wildlife. They are omnivores, consuming everything in their path, including the remains of other animals. Their presence extends into urban areas, where they rummage through trash cans, contributing to pollution and unsettling the community. Wild boars frequently venture onto roads, leading to safety concerns and disrupting traffic. The ongoing battle against wild boars underscores the urgent need for effective solutions to safeguard cornfields and preserve ecosystem health. Moving on, we observe further encroachment on the natural landscape, not just from the staggering 287 million feral rabbits plaguing Australia, but also from other invasive species. These include wild goats, wild boars, wild camels, and the European red fox. These species have significantly altered Australia's natural and agricultural terrains. Most of these invasive species were introduced to Australia by European explorers and settlers during the 17th and 18th centuries, leading to profound ecological consequences. Originally, these animals were introduced to Australia for recreational hunting and as a source of milk or meat. However, those that escaped into the wild have proliferated, leading to the establishment of invasive species populations across the country. In a manner akin to the United States' approach to managing invasive species, the Australian government permits the hunting of certain invasive species in substantial numbers. Furthermore, to offset the economic losses caused by these species, farmers are allowed to capture and sell economically valuable invasive animals. The first goats were brought to Australia by British workers and miners in the 17th century, initially as pets and for food. As time passed, these goats either found their way into the wild through escape or intentional release, leading to the creation of a feral goat population. Currently, there are about 2.3 million feral goats living in Australia, mainly found in semi-arid or mountainous areas such as Western New South Wales, South Australia, Western Australia, and Queensland. While the wild goat in Australia may share the white-tailed deer's appeal in the United States, their numbers, now over 2 million, pose a considerable threat to Australian agriculture and the environment. In regions like Victoria, New South Wales, and Western Australia, herds of wild goats are causing substantial environmental harm. This damage stems from their competition with native wildlife and livestock for essential resources such as water, food, and shelter. Beyond their environmental impact, feral goats also adversely affect Australian agriculture by overgrazing on grasslands, harming crops, and diminishing farmers' profits. The annual cost to the Australian agricultural sector due to feral goats is estimated to be around $25 million. Despite these detrimental effects on both the environment and agricultural lands, feral goats are additionally implicated as a primary vector for foot and mouth disease in cattle, further highlighting the challenges they present. In Australia, the commercial harvesting of wild goats is valued at approximately $29 million each year, becoming an essential component of many herders' businesses. This venture not only bolsters their operations, but also aids in offsetting the financial damages caused by wild goats. Australians frequently use horses and helicopters to gather hundreds of wild goats for sale to goat meat processing facilities. The average weight of a male wild goat in Australia is around 132 pounds, and an adult female typically weighs about 97 pounds. The average price received for selling a wild goat is about $13.70. Furthermore, hunting and trapping are utilized as methods to control the populations of wild goats. In the absence of such measures, the wild goat population in Australia would likely double every 1.5 years, prompting the use of various methods to manage their growth effectively. In addition to feral goats, feral camels also represent a considerable problem for Australia's natural and agricultural landscapes. It was projected that by the year 2024, there would be about 1.3 million feral camels living in Australia, impacting approximately 53% of the nation's grassland ecosystems. This includes most of the arid regions within Western Australia, South Australia, and the Northern Territory, as well as parts of Queensland. In the 1840s, the British brought the first camels to Australia, aiming to aid the exploration of the continent's extensive and formidable landscapes. By the year 1907, the camel population in Australia was approximately 21,000, at which time it was not considered a significant issue. However, with the rise of motorized transport in the 1920s, the use of camels for travel gradually declined, resulting in their release into the wild. Although camels do not reproduce as swiftly as rabbits, their ability to adapt to arid conditions and the absence of natural predators have facilitated an unchecked increase in their numbers. As a result, the number of wild camels in Australia has steadily risen. However, with the introduction of control strategies such as hunting, trapping, and other methods, the numbers of these animals were significantly reduced by more than half. Feral camels present particular challenges for the inhabitants of the regions where they are most common. They can quickly destroy fences and completely devastate an area of vegetation through trampling and feeding. They are also known to deplete small water sources in dry areas. Moreover, wild camels can become aggressive towards livestock such as sheep and cattle, sometimes even preventing them from accessing food or water. The economic impact caused by wild camels in Australia is estimated to be around $17 million each year. However, this estimate may not fully capture the extent of the damage. Currently, the preferred method for managing wild camel populations across mainland Australia is aerial hunting using helicopters. This technique entails gathering the camels together before proceeding to cull them. Both state and national governments allow the unrestricted hunting of wild camels. Annually, it is estimated that around 103,000 wild camels are harvested for their meat in Australia. Between 9,000 and 13,000 wild camels succumb annually to factors like old age, food scarcity, or the challenging climate. Despite efforts, millions of wild goats and feral camels continue to pose challenges for Australian governments and farmers. Efforts to manage their populations through hunting or sterilisation are deemed the most effective and humane strategies to safeguard the interests of both local agricultural communities and Australia's indigenous species. So, now you're quite informed about these wild animals, right? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our next one. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.